go that way. Hello, just doing a sound check, make sure everything's okay in the room. So if you can hear okay, can you just let me know? Hey Akami. Hey Nana. Awesome. So I'm just going to give this a little bit of time to let people filter in, and I may actually go and yeah, let me just go onto YouTube and post a link there. Um, let's see. Hello everybody. Yeah, sorry there's no sound, I'm just updating on YouTube, so just let people filter in a little bit. Let me put some music on in the meantime. Here we go. That'll do. Not at the moment, Kixer. I'll drag people in a bit because I'm in the Thaumcraft room and I can't bring people in here. Hey Sparkster, is this Panic Crafting 1.3.2? What's up? I'm hungover. I'm feeling more than a little bit delicate after last night's alcohol. Not a lot, Rampant Panda. Not a lot. Mini Link, I took a brief look at it, yeah. It looked okay. I was very naughty, I got very drunk. I mean, after I logged off, I stayed up for like 5 or 6 hours. Carried on drinking. I was up till like, I think it was like 9 AM this morning. So, yeah. I will turn that down a little bit. And we will open up that. No, I did not say the magic words never drink again. I'm not that kind of person. So, I'm joined in the room today to start off the stream at least anyway. We have Azanor, who is the creator of Thaumcraft and is currently coding hard on Thaumcraft 3, who said he would be happy to come and spend a few minutes talking to us about the new mod. So hi there, Azanor.
Hey there.
How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Cool. If anybody has any questions, as long as they're sensible questions, if you want to post them, I will ask them to him, if we can. But only I'll pick out the good questions. So don't ask silly ones because I just won't ask them. But I'm guessing the first question that everybody's going to want to ask is how the mod is coming so far. And
it's coming along quite nicely at the moment. Not nearly as much done as I want to have done, but I'm seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. So
you are starting to, yeah. So
yeah, definitely.
Is this how much of this is similar to Thaumcraft 2, and how much of it is new with regards to the way that the mod evolves with the research and all of that?
A lot of the items and raw resources and stuff like that is very similar to Thaumcraft 2, about 75% I'd say.
Okay.
But I actually had to completely redo the code in the background, which is why it's taking so long. So it's basically rewriting it from scratch.
So are we still going to be using Viz then as a primary resource?
No. The word Viz will still be in the mod, but it'll sort of mean something else. It won't be that purple liquid anymore. It's just like a reference to how much magic there is in the aura and such.
Okay, but the actual liquid, which was essentially your fuel, is gone now. That's all.
At least for the initial release, there might be higher tier items where you can start manufacturing or extracting V's, but I'm not committing to that. I'm still thinking of. It's
an idea on the drawing board, yeah.
Yeah.
So, where are you looking to go with regards to? Are you still keeping a research system in place?
Oh yes, yeah. No, it's been expanded, and it's not a lottery system anymore. Basically, it's. I don't know if you saw the video I released about a week ago.
Yeah, I saw it. It was awesome.
The latest one. Let's have a look. See if we can pull it up for people to have a look at.
It was 3, right? Your third.
I think so, yeah.
I'm assuming it's like your others, just a very quick, short video.
It's what, like 5-6 minutes? Yeah.
Really?
Yes, I don't show basically the entire process to research. What's it?
Wow, it's actually 6.5 minutes, isn't it? So, just for those that do want to, yes, I have seen this one, by the way. There was some very cool stuff in this. Just for anybody who wants to see this afterwards or at some point, I will put a link up now in the channel. It's there. But yeah, sorry, the research system you were saying.
Oh yeah, it's going to be, as I said, not a lotto system anymore. It's a bit of a mini game almost. Probably could be. I'm trying to keep it fairly simple. I don't want it to be too, tedious. But you actually have to think a bit. Maybe not a lot, but a bit to get the research done. Not just fill the thing with cobble and wait.
Absolutely. So, have you been able to do any more work on graphics or rendering, or are you basically going to be looking at the same sort of thing as from Thaumcraft 2? Because obviously with Thaumcraft 2, you came out with a lot of things that had never been seen really in the modding scene before, like high definition textures on blocks and the particle effects and the way that you were doing them was like a big wow factor for a lot of people. So I suppose the question would be, is there anything new in that regard that you can push?
Well, in regards to block effects and stuff, I'm actually backing up a bit because one of the biggest complaints was my mod was very expensive FPS wise.
Okay.
So I'm trying to actually use less of it. So and where I do use it, I try and make it as efficient as possible. But I am adding quite a. I'm definitely not being stingy in that direction. I'm definitely trying to add some new interesting effects and things like that. I'm actually working on some of it right at the moment.
Oh,
while I'm
awesome.
talking. Might post a picture in a bit.
Yeah,
Depending if I get it right.
that would be cool. I know that in the modding scene at the moment, there's been a huge sort of shift towards this multi-block system where people are combining a series of blocks to make one large, like for instance the railcraft, water tanks and stuff like that. Have you got any plans to include anything like that?
Actually, almost most of my stuff so far is multi-block items. I mean, even that research table in the video it's only 2 blocks, but still. But I also have, there's one fairly large furnace. My furnace is now a 9x9 by 3x3x3 block. You have to build and
So
construct.
it's 9 blocks to make. Oh, we're actually just on the video seeing the table being constructed from 2 blocks that was really cool timing. That actually, I mean, let me just go back and look at that again because I wasn't really. Because I don't think I have actually seen this video. So you're making what looks like the table, yeah, yeah, and 2 of those tables put together.
Most of my crafting is going to be similar. The blocks. You don't just go to a crafting bench and throw stuff together and get the block out. You actually have to. Even the crucible. I mean, you place a normal cauldron,
Yeah.
Minecraft cauldron, and then you change it into a crucible. And the same with the research table. I have a basic crafting bench as well. I had to create my own version of the crafting bench since the built-in crafting system in Minecraft doesn't allow to lock recipes on SMP servers.
Right.
If I lock a recipe, it'll be locked for everyone. So I had to do my own thing there. But yeah, I'm gonna try and keep people away from graphical user interfaces as much as possible.
Right, yeah. I'm looking at the video now. Even now there is already some really cool stuff that you seem to be working on. What kind of style are the new blocks, like the tables? Oh right, I think I see what he means. In what kind of style are the new blocks, like the tables, cauldrons, and stuff, going to be like? Is it like are you going for like an oldie worldy type feel with your blocks, or something very futuristic with the look of the mod, or are you going to do a combination? Or
Well, it's definitely magical themed, so I'm gonna try and keep it like you can see in the research table. It's old, battered-looking wood and stuff like that. And but the Eldritch that was in Thaumcraft 2, the idea there was like it was like magical technology,
yeah,
like super advanced. So that might look a bit more futuristic, though still, fantasy futuristic, if you know what I mean.
absolutely. So there'll be various themes for each of the different areas because you've got your own system and then this Eldritch system, which was like extra, and then you had like the tainted stuff as well, didn't you? Which was different again. So there was more than one theme there.
Yes, currently I'm gonna have like 3 tiers of research and tools and things like that. The first tier is mostly like basic, almost medieval look to it and the way it works as well. Then the second tier will almost, not quite steampunk, but like a fantasy version of steampunk. So it's might be like an engine, but it's got a fantasy theme to it. I'm actually really saying too much there. But yeah, and the third tier will be more like the Eldritch type stuff. So this really strange, arcane looking blocks and things.
So I have to ask. We all saw a video a while ago with a little iron golem coming out carrying a piece of coal, and no real explanation.
I actually don't want to go into it too much.
Okay, is that
because-
a secret for future time?
Yes, I'm trying to get at least one of them in on each video. As you can see, there's one in this video as well.
Yes. I had to
Broadly
ask.
speaking,
Yeah.
it's my version of pipes, like Red Power and Bullcraft has.
Right.
Not quite. It's a bit more and a bit less than that, but actually, it's really a work in progress. So I don't want to say anything I might regret in the future because it turns out I couldn't implement it or anything. So, but I'm actually quite happy as it is at the moment. It's a complete system and I can release it quite happily. But I want to add more to it.
So, all right. Listen, I'm gonna stop there. Because, oh wow, we're actually seeing one of the golems carrying off a piece of NATO now. That's awesome. I think it's safe to say what that is. That will be pretty damn cool. I have to admit, because you have a lot to live up to because of the wow factor that was generated from Thaumcraft 2 and the build up that you obviously done with that with the arcane boar and all that, and it came on the scene. I assume that it was a lot more popular than Thaumcraft 1. Is that right? Or do you not? Can you not tell?
2,
Yeah.
Yes, I mean Thaumcraft 1 was basically just a blip on the radar. My mod only became popular when I released Thaumcraft 2, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Dials did do a spotlight, but I don't think that many people actually ever played Thaumcraft 1.
I'm not going to ask. No offense, but I'm not going to ask personal questions. It's not my place to do that. If you want to ask personal questions about like that, let's do it in a different area. Multiplayer is going to be the next obvious big question. I assume that there's going to be some sort of multiplayer compatibility, or is that still an issue, or do you not know yet?
Oh no, well that's one of the reasons it's taking me so long because I've never ever did a SMP mod before.
Yeah.
And all the tutorials and stuff out there when I started was still for the previous version of Minecraft, so it was multiplayer code changed quite a bit with the 1.3. So I had a big learning curve, but well, yeah, obviously my mod will be multiplayer because it sort of has to be now.
Yeah, pretty much. That is just like the way it is now. Have you done any tests at all on the multiplayer realm to see how it's working?
Yeah, I usually when I implement something new and after I've tested it out in the single player, I just create a server and pop up a couple of clients connected to that server just to check that everything is working as it should.
Yeah. Because I know that a lot of the people are like extremely excited to see a multiplayer version of Thaumcraft. It would be awesome. Did you mod for any other games before Thaumcraft, or was this your first time?
No, not at all.
I'm assuming you have background in graphics, though.
No, actually not. I'm a mainframe programmer. So mainframe code is usually just meant for terminal PCs, so green screen terminals,
Yeah.
no graphics at all. But I do a bit of Java, and well, I played a lot of all the tech mods, Buildcraft and Red Power and EE, especially, and but I didn't quite like some of the way. I love EE, but I didn't like the way it handled. It's hard to describe actually, but I didn't quite like the balance of it. So I just basically created my own little mod for my own enjoyment, and then I decided to release it. That was Thaumcraft 1.
Right. And then from there you evolved into Thaumcraft 2, obviously, I'm taking.
Yeah, my own thing.
So yeah, in the video we saw one of the questions asked. I don't know if this is something that you've been talking about yet. We saw the much expanded research grid as opposed to the old system. So, do we take it from that the research system has changed quite significantly then, with regards to the mechanics? Is that what you talk about with regards to the minigame?
Yes, all items have aspects. That's the little icons you see, like fire or energy and things like that. And so when you put the items in the grid, you can see what aspects it's made of, and then you research. For instance, if you want to research night, or you need to research fire and light and energy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And
I'm
so
just
you need
getting
to
up a
put in
screenshot.
items with, yeah, so you have to put in the same items with similar aspects, and that's basically how you do the research. You examine items that have similar features to Nightor and try and build up till you eventually get a discovery for Nightor.
Yeah, so yeah, I think we actually have the screenshot here of the table. So on the left hand side we have like 5 what appears to be inventory slots, and then
Yes.
next to that we have 4 icons. There's like a flame, a candle, some cogs, and I'm not sure what that is above. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, those are the aspects.
So these are the aspects. These are your raw materials. That I'm taking is just paper to make for the research to take
Yes.
place.
Yeah.
So if we look at this, we have you click on the magnifying glass, which would then examine it to pull up the different.
Yeah, it runs one cycle when you click on it.
Yeah.
And it goes and looks at the aspects that you put in, and basically does some math and stuff in the background, and yeah, and pops out and progresses the research or creates a new research theory you can start studying or whatever.
So I'm assuming from this that you've eliminated the major problem that Thaumcraft 2 had at the start, whereas you could just fill the table with stacks and stacks of obsidian or bookcases or something and research 90%
Yes.
of the...
That won't work at all. You need to research different things for to get discoveries, and there is aspects that's going to be fairly rare, so you might only get them in. You might need a specific block just to create something that has that aspect to do the research. Especially the higher tier stuff will work like that.
That's actually a good question. If you, on the left hand side of the research table, there's like, at the bottom, there's a bar. Does that bar have any purpose? It looks like a bar with actually a slider button or something like that.
Is it like red or green?
It seems to be like...
He switches it at some point in the video, but
Yes.
I couldn't figure out what he
It
did.
looks like some sort of switch there that you would drag across or something. Do you want me to...
It's below the paper, right?
Yes, that's right, just below the paper. There's like a horizontal
Yes,
bar there.
it's, you can research either in, well, I've changed the name, but in the video it's safe or thorough mode. I actually do switch at the start of the video, back and forth between it. Safe mode is quicker, and you have a less, because every time you do a research cycle, there's a chance you lose your items on the left-hand side. So in safe mode, your chance to lose the items are very small, but your progress and your chance to learn something new is also very small.
Yeah, we've actually got
Thorough
that bit on there.
research,
Sorry.
yeah, thorough research is a much higher chance to learn something, but you're almost guaranteed to lose one item from a stack.
Right,
Basically,
okay.
you study the thing by taking it apart in thorough mode.
So safe is more time consuming but less resource intensive.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Golems, portable holes, no lotteries. And if you ever... yeah, you know what he means by lotteries in Thaumcraft 2. Yeah, Thaumcraft 2 was kind of a lottery. But since Thaumcraft 3 is quite a big departure from Thaumcraft 2, is there any chance that Thaumcraft 2 would be ported to 1.3.2? I'm guessing I know the answer to this one.
Yeah, it's definitely no. And it's, to be honest, it's actually impossible to port.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons I redid it. Some of the coding I did in the background is it's basically hacks. And for instance, the research system as it was won't be able to be used in multiplayer at all.
To be fair, I mean, Thaumcraft 2, from a point of view of a player, it was certainly a lot more balanced than Equivalent Exchange was. A lot more balanced. But like every mod in that era or that generation, it suffered from the problem that no matter what you did to balance, you always got to a point where resources became invalid because you had what was effectively infinite resources, and as soon as you get to that point, you remove the balance of all mods. And it's the same for Thaumcraft too. If you create a book farm, for instance, and just throw 4 books in the research, you could effectively have researched, like, is it all but 5 of the recipes or 6 of the recipes? It wasn't many, was it?
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, it was like pretty much every recipe for not a huge amount of effort. Like a couple of days and you could do it easily.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's one of the main reasons I changed the system.
Yeah. It was the same with Equivalent Exchange 3. You know, if you know what you're doing with Equivalent Exchange 3, you can get a full set of gemmed red matter armor in a couple of days.
2.
Sorry, not 2. 3. Sorry, 2. Equivalent Exchange 2. So, yeah, I have no idea if he will answer this question. Is there any new item in Thaumcraft 3 that you would like to talk about that hasn't been seen before?
Well, there's a lot of old items that do serve different purposes now.
Okay.
Well, one item, because it's actually a question a lot of people ask. Everyone asks what is the item in the leftmost hotbar slot, the one I use on the cauldron and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of the crafting system. It's that specific one is the first tier wand. Just a magic wand. You use it to transform blocks, and it's not like the Philosopher's Stone in EE.
Right.
It's almost more like a wrench in Boltcraft or the screwdriver in Red Power. It's just a tool you use to do other stuff.
Okay.
And
User
as
joined your
you
channel.
progress through the research system, there's 3 tiers of wands, and they each have more power. They don't have more abilities, but you're able to create bigger things with them. Or, for instance, the first tier wand, if you use it on a cauldron to craft stuff, you basically throw in the ingredients and then you use the wand to mix them and get the result out. But you can only get like a couple of items at a time. The higher tier ones, you can like make stacks of items at a time. Obviously, you have to throw in more ingredients, but you don't have to like stand there and keep filling it with water, etc. So, and yeah, that's a big part of the one that's the first thing you'll have to create, and you're always going to use it for 90% of the work.
Right. Okay.
You do make it at the beginning of the video, right?
No.
Oh, you don't? I thought you showed how.
I don't have a recipe for it yet. I'm still trying to decide how to. My own working recipe is like a stick and 2 gold nuggets, but I'm not happy with that.
Yeah, that seems kind of
Bit too easy.
Well, to be honest, it is.
It doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
You know, you make a sword with 2 nuggets in
No,
the
you
stick,
don't.
right?
Yeah, sticking 2 bars, not 2 nuggets.
Oh, a stick and 2 nuggets. Yeah.
Well, the first tier wand is fairly useless, so the actual cost of the recipe is fine. I'm just not happy with the ingredients.
Right. Okay.
I mean, you need to make it to get started, and Thaumcraft is supposed to. You have to. Yeah, it's not a late game mod. It's you play the entire game with it.
It's a throughout mod. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I like that for all mods. They should be standalone, of course, and have aspects that you can do at the beginning and then throughout. You don't want to have to play through like the entire vanilla game before you can do stuff in the mod.
It's true.
Well, there's place for mods like that, but yeah,
maybe some mods.
I'd like to see more end game mods. I think that at the moment you still have this situation with all mods, you can very quickly max it out, for want of a better term.
Yeah, I'd like to see mods that have a bigger scope, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't think I'd like to see mods that you really have to, play for weeks before you can even get started in them.
Yeah. Very quick, sort of easy question. The magic carpet, will we receive that return?
Yes, I've actually already done that.
Awesome. We will let that be. Well, if there's any difference, we can sort of bring that up. Are there still artifacts in Thaumcraft 3? And if yes, what are they used for?
Well, I'm actually still on the fence about artifacts. Because there were a lot of items that basically only had one use, and that was research. And if you had a decent automated read farm going, you didn't even need them.
Mm-hmm.
But I will have artifacts of a sort, since, as I said, there's certain aspects that are rare, and you can usually some might only be attained by stuff you find in dungeon chests, or you have to create them specifically. So
Yeah.
they might still only be used for research. You might be able to create them yourselves through some kind of complicated crafting system or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, I'm actually working on the world building stuff now, so I have to start thinking about if I'm going to add the old style artifacts back again.
Yeah. Arcane seals?
No.
Okay.
Currently, I'm not planning to add them the way they were. No, they were too cheap.
They were far too cheap and very, very sweet. I like arcane seals. I like what they did. They did it a bit too easily. So I am with you on that one.
There will still be seals in, but it'll be one shot. It's like a little paper seal you create, and for instance, one of the ones I'm thinking of is you create it, you just stick it on a tree, and then it harvests the entire tree for you. But it's just a one-use item. There'll be stuff like that, but they will definitely be not as cheap as the normal. Well, depending. I mean, a one-shot item that harvests a tree isn't that. You don't want to make that too expensive, but still.
Is there going to still be an arcane bore or some other alternative mining machine?
Actually, the main issue with the arcane bore, because I like it myself, I'm not sure what kind of havoc it'll cause on the SMP server, because even on single player it created a lot of lag.
Yeah.
So it might be in, but it probably won't look as good as it used to, with all the nice trails and stuff as the items got sucked in.
Could you imagine
that'll cause
multiple arcane bores crossing the streams? How would that work?
Yeah.
4 arcane bores all aimed to the same spot, just pulling the blockers towards. That would be quite funny, actually, just to see what happened.
Well, actually, in my last version of Thaumcraft 2 I released, or one of the last versions, I kind of sort of fixed that in single player. I actually had a frame machine with 5 arcane bores pointing straight down.
Yeah.
And then I'd just move it and just in like 10 minutes remove a large chunk of a slug of the landscape just out, and it worked quite well and didn't create that much lag. Lots of graphical lag, but
a question I haven't seen asked, and I'm really surprised, is one of the things that I really loved was the idea that you had to go out into the world and explore to find, the obelisks with the secret code, which let you enter the secret, obviously the room underneath. Is that coming back, or have you got other plans for that?
Actually, that's one of the things I'm working on now. I'm actually some of the vanilla things in that direction, like the temples. I'm adding little extra things to them.
Right.
That's unique to my mod, and I'm also going to add my own structures, not just the obelisks. And I'm not actually sure if the obelisks will be in like they were in Thaumcraft 2, but there will be. I'm planning to have quite a lot more stuff than was in Thaumcraft 2 in that direction.
Yeah, anything that
Places
forces you
can
to go out and explore the world is good in my book.
Yes.
Too many mods today focus you into a narrow spot where you build your base and your factory, and everything has to be close together because you have to keep all the chunks loaded to keep everything running. There. Yeah, an Eldritch Dimension would be cool. That would be actually a really cool thing. Drop down into the shaft, into the room, and access an Eldritch Dimension or something like that from there. That would be
Also quite a lot of work.
Yeah.
The reason the mods that add dimensions are usually that's all they do.
It didn't even need to be a full dimension, you know, just like, I don't know, well, you know, whatever. It's some over time.
I mean, you can do something like the end, which is basically only one type of block or one type of monster,
Yeah.
and like the boss. But I mean, that's lame. If you're going to do it, do a full thing. But as I said, a lot of work. I'm not saying I won't do it, but maybe in the future.
I mean, what about, I mean, maybe the idea that, because I always thought that it would be cool if you see how, when you go down there, there are 4 walls to the room, aren't there, that had symbols on it that looked like they were going to do something. I always thought it would be cool if you, how do I phrase this? Like the obelisks or the secret rooms were laid down in a system kind of like ley lines, so that they were, if you tracked where they were down, they would follow some sort of pattern, and that you could go down into one of those rooms, and then if you activated one of the walls, it would teleport you to the next wall along the line, or something like that.
Well, that's actually an interesting idea.
Go on.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you followed Thaumcraft 2, but I did add at one point you could actually activate those things, and it just opened up more rooms. So that was the idea. I was eventually going to have like a whole series of those symbols you had to discover through research, and each of them would have had different. I mean, the ones I originally added just basically was just a room with a bit more loot in it, but there was going to be a room specifically with more Eldritch technology, and that was the only way you could have gotten hold of it, by opening the rooms. So that was my idea, but I like your idea as well.
Just so, you know, I don't know. There'll be, because right now with portals, you know, you have to have been to both places, don't you, in order to set up the portal. This is just something that would let you just move to. Obviously, it wouldn't dump you in the room, because then you would just have access to every single room, wouldn't you? You'd have to find some way to balance that, I suppose. You couldn't just go bouncing from room to room to room to room to room and access everything that's in there.
But it is an interesting idea. You activate one of the seals or whatever, and it like transports you at quite a distance away to a new area where you can explore. Obviously, it'll be handy to have a way to get back. But yeah, actually, you've given me something to think about there.
Will Thaumcraft 3 be out before 1.4, or are you going to release it for 1.4 and skip 1.3?
Assuming Mojang stays on track and releases the end of the month, I think, for 1.4, then the answer is no.
It's going to be 1.4 now, isn't it? Probably.
Yeah.
Well, that's, you know, there's still a lot to work to be done. I know that you're not the only one. Equivalent Exchange is still being worked on very hard, and it's a big change from 1.2.5 to 1.3.
It's the research system and the aura system, and just learning how SMP coding works took a lot more time than I was planning, and I also had a lot of real life stuff going on. So I'm almost done with those systems, but now I just have a lot of content to add, you know, world gen, new items, all that kind of thing. So I doubt I'm going to finish it before 1.4 is out. I can try, but I don't think so.
What is the compass? What is it pointing to?
I'll leave that as a surprise for one of the future teasers.
Okay. It's very. Is it just a compass mechanic that? That's what it looks like.
Sort of, yes. I'm actually there's in the video there. That was actually a very alpha version of it. It's not going to look much different in the release, but there's one or two more things I might add to it. And it's also 3D. It's not just in like a normal compass.
No,
there's a
yeah. It's
good reason for that, but
I think people can make educated guesses, but it looks on all three axes, X, Y, and Z, yeah? So that's cool.
yes.
And it will point in all three axes. Are you bringing back one of the things that I was never quite sure of whether I liked it or not was, you know, the pickaxe ability where if you right-clicked it, the little wisp would come out and head towards the nearest like ore or crystal.
I like the mechanic, but I think it might have been a bit OP to put it on the axe, on the pickaxe as well.
Yeah.
So it might stay in, but it'll probably be its own item.
Something a bit more expensive than that pickaxe.
Yes.
Yes.
They were way too cheap to create.
They were really cool though, man. Like, really cool. I didn't think anything would ever make me give up a destruction catalyst if I had it installed. But damn, did that pickaxe of the core look really good.
It was that explosion sound. It was very satisfying.
It was extremely satisfying. And the axe of the stream as well. I mean, we made a conscious choice to not include tree capacitor or creature, whatever. You know, the tree cutting mods, purely because it just ruined the axe of the stream. So I'm hoping to see those, the axe, the spade, the hoe, and the pickaxe return. That should be cool. Yeah, axe of the stream plus wood tendrils was very fun, to be fair.
I did it once and crashed halfway through. It was fun.
Yeah, it really was fun. Lag on a stick is right, yeah. Right, yeah, that's actually something we haven't asked, and we are probably... Is corruption going to make a return?
If you mean the taint, no. It won't be quite the same. I created a new mechanic called flux. It's not like the taint used to be, where it was like almost like a dark evil magic spreading around and stuff like that. Flux is literally just chaos. When you mess around with magic too much and do basically the wrong kind of thing, it builds up, sort of the same way taint did.
Yeah.
But instead of corrupting the air, the terrain and things like that, it will just have random effects.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, there's lots of different. Every aspect actually can go into the atmosphere as flux. So if you say mess around with too much energy magic, then lightning might start striking the local area and stuff like that. There's a lot more to it, and there is actually flux can also spawn as purple goo in the world, similar to taint, but not quite the same thing. And but I'm actually considering keeping taint in, but as a separate thing that maybe spawns in a biome.
User joined your channel.
So it's not the result of something the player does. It's just a hazard in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to be... yeah, taint freaked me out as well. It scared me, taint. Especially right at the beginning, because I didn't... It was hard at the beginning to get reinforced tanks. So it was very easy to have tanks blow up on you early on. And
Yep.
That meant taint. And I assume that quite a lot of people got bit by that very early on. Was that a deliberate design decision, by the way, to not...
Yes. Definitely.
That's evil, to be fair. That is actually quite evil. I actually think he's answered this, Brandy, but I will ask him because I'm pretty sure. But I do think he answered this. What is it that made you come up with the idea of Thaumcraft in the first place? Was it a response to Equivalent Exchange? Did you say?
My original reason I started coding, I was just curious about the whole modding thing, and I didn't like EE's idea that one point of say one cobble is worth 8 pieces of wood or whatever. I didn't like the equivalent part of the equivalent exchange. I liked the rest. So I created a block that the duplicator. So it worked also on a point system, but on a 1:5 ratio. So if you wanted to copy a piece of cobble, you needed 5 cobble to do it. And I just kind of started adding stuff and messing around, and eventually I thought, I might as well share it with other people, and released Thaumcraft 1. So yeah, it was mostly just me playing around with Java and modding and things like that. So that's where I started.
How do you feel about Mojang nicking your sound effect for the Wisp?
People keep saying that, but it was a level up sound always, and it's been with Minecraft since they released levels. And it was unused, so I nicked it from them.
Is the brain in the jar going to make a return?
Yep.
Awesome. I know that. I love that brain in the jar.
Looks too cool not to include, even if it's only an aesthetic item. I'll put it in.
Yeah, it really does.
It will be more than that.
I have a question when you
Go on, yeah, go for it.
get a sec. Will there be any way, either through yourself or through others, for mod integration? So like for other basic items and other mods to have aspects in the crafting and research system?
Well, even in Thaumcraft 2, I had a API. The current API, I expanded it a lot. I'm opening up a lot of my mod. I mean, you can access the auras, and yes, you can add your own tags and your own recipes if you want to. So it's going to be for people that just want to create content mods for Thaumcraft. Should be a lot easier. And my tag system, actually, I used my code from Thaumcraft 2 where I calculate the V's values of items. Doing something similar. So quite a lot of mod items, assuming they just use normal crafting table, they should have aspects linked to them without any issue. Because, for example, iron has the metal aspect and sticks have the wood aspect. So if you make a pickaxe, it'll actually have the metal and wood aspects. It inherits it from whatever it's made of. So
You have dynamic aspects from crafting recipes?
yes.
Somebody has come up with an.
Awesome.
Basically just
Sorry, go on. No, go on. I'll ask it in a second. Go on.
yeah, because I didn't want to go and add aspects for every single item in the game. So I basically just the most basic things that everything else is made up of, I gave aspects, and everything else is either calculated or I do a lot of items. For instance, the resulting aspects for say piston would basically just be wood, stone, and metal. But I wanted to add like the mechanical aspect and things to that as well for later tiers of stuff you craft from pistons. So then I add them with hand, and it's part of the API as well, so anyone can just use the basic calculated aspects and then add one or two things of their own.
So we've had two awesome ideas, like really seriously good ideas. I want to credit these people because they are actually genuinely awesome ideas.
Yeah, I read them. They look
Right, so
awesome.
Devarian X came up with an idea for a wisp in a jar. So rather than a
Funny,
brain,
I
a
don't
little wisp
in a
floating
jar.
around in a jar. That would be cool.
It's, as I said, funny you should mention that.
Right, okay, so we'll leave it at funny you should mention that. And the second one, I'm actually going to expand on the idea a little bit. Did you ever watch the film Ghostbusters?
Yes, one of
Okay.
my favorite films.
So you know the idea of having a particle beam gun which you shoot at the Slimer, which puts him in a beam, and then he gets sucked into the box, the transportation thing. So could we have that working on a creeper that they get sucked into a jar, and then you could then throw the jar and it would work like a throwable version of TNT? We have to have that. That is so cool.
That is an awesome idea.
That is actually a genuinely cool idea. I have seen many good ideas. That is down to Jelly Blade. And that
Jelly
is,
Blade.
yeah. That is genuine. He just said creeper in the jar, but I've expanded on it, as in, how do you get the creeper in the jar? And use a Ghostbusters technique to suck it into the jar. And I suppose you could do it for other mobs as well, couldn't you? You wouldn't have to just restrict that to creepers.
Theoretically, yes. Just a moment, I'm grabbing my notepad.
Yeah, that is actually awesome. I've seen many good ideas. But that's phenomenal.
The thing is why it definitely grabs my attention, because I was actually adding, don't want to go into it, but there's going to be like a trapping mechanic. It was just aimed at one specific thing, but I like that. Creeper in a jar. Oh, jeez. You can do quite a bit of stuff, like
Yeah,
jar of spiders.
you open that up, and not just, you know, good mobs. You could open up that up to passives and all sorts of things. I mean, maybe that's how you would make a wisp in a jar. And how you would make a brain in a jar, you would actually have to trap a zombie into a jar, and that gives you the brain in a jar. Trap a wisp, that gives you a wisp in a jar.
It was slightly more involved in 2, wasn't it? I can't remember how you make a brain.
No,
I guess
brain
you
in a
get
jar is
brain
fair.
and the jar.
Yeah, it was-
and you
It's
put the
zombie
brain in
brains.
the jar, huh?
Yeah, it's zombie brains. This is so much cooler.
Yeah, I like this. I mean, it could be an entire mini system of its own in the mod. Various mobs being able to be trapped, and all. It's a way of creating mob eggs if you're not in creative, at the very least.
Because we know the mechanic is there. You place the jar on the ground. The wheat mechanic is something very similar. So you would trap the mob in the beam, and then you could move yourself, and that would move the mechanic. Because that's very similar to the wheat mechanic. So you could move the mob over the jar. At that point, it would just get sucked. You know, it's all there.
Well, maybe not the gun,
Well, whichever. I mean,
but definitely, yeah. I like the idea of being able to trap stuff in jars. Awesome.
yeah. Okay. So moving on, enchanting. Are you going
Yes.
to intrude on the enchanting table again? So you have massive, huge
I'm
levels.
gonna have my. I'm just gonna have my own system of being able to enchant. So I won't have 2 tiers again, because that was really unnecessary. Well, it worked for the V system, so there was a lower tier one to craft just with V, and then a higher tier where you can actually choose. So I'm gonna go in the direction of just being able to choose from the start, but it's gonna work completely differently from the vanilla mechanics. So it's almost gonna be like a crafting system where you add enchantments to stuff.
Big P. That's awesome. PvP player in a jar. I don't even know if that's physically possible. That would be.
I'm thinking very hard if it is. I think you might be able to hack something in.
You know, where you would take control of a player's position from them so they don't even get to control themselves. I suppose you could do it.
Well, you could set one entity to mount on another entity, so you can, while the guy's holding the jar. Nah.
No.
Probably don't do that easy, but still.
Oh, during the jar, it goes training system.
But just the,
Flora.
yeah, an extension to the inner jar thing, because the brain in the jar was so, you know, it was a huge thing in Thaumcraft 3. And expanding on that is just like really cool. So, do we have any more questions, or should we let Azanor get back to coding so we can all see this amazing stuff? Minecraft in a jar. Yeah.
Now you guys are just being
Yeah,
silly.
really. Portal Gun already did that anyway. More coding, yeah? I presume the Eldritch are going to make a return.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll leave that at that. So there are some surprises left. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm actually going to stop this video now. And I'm going to stop the stream now. Purely because I suspect that this is probably something that should go up on YouTube. And I'll upload it to YouTube later on. And then I will start the stream back up once I've done that. It'll only be... That's what I'm saying, it is recorded. I'll upload it over to YouTube in a bit. But I'll come straight back as soon as I've stopped it. It just means that I can cut it off quite easily. But I don't know if you're on the stream, but I think everybody should probably thank Azanor for taking out the time from his coding to come and speak to us and give us a few little spoilers for what we're going to see in the future. But personally, I'd like to say thank you very much. It's been great having you on here. So, thank you.
My pleasure.
Alright, I will be back in maybe 5 minutes. I'm just going to reset the stream and that.